Susie, you want a bagel?
Everything.
Like on the bagel?
Everything.
Everything?
Everything.
Everything?
Everything.
Like everything.
Everything.
Our Everything Bagel! Hello.
Hello. Woo.
Welcome.
Welcome. Our Everything Bagel.
To another episode of Our Everything Bagel.
Woo. I'm so out of it. Hello, everybody.
Happy... What day is it today?
Today is Saturday.
Today's Saturday.
So it's happy Saturday.
It may be Saturday in your world too. It may not be Saturday.
Yeah. It could be like a Sunday.
Or a weekday.
Or a weekday.
Happy whichever day of the week you happen to be listening to us on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it would is like the latest I've heard hours in some countries being ahead of us is like 12 hours. So I guess it would be like a Sunday or a Monday.
True.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I don't know.
But I don't know enough of traveling to make an affirmative statement on that one.
Yes, I would be able to, I could look up a time zones map.
We'll just like look up
I
all the
used to have
time
one of
zones to
those.
make it.
Well, it all depends on when we air it too.
Oh, that's true. Because then it could just not be a Saturday.
Right. It could be Wednesday.
It could be any day of the week.
Thank you for joining us again on whichever day of the week
You are on. And we decide to air things.
Yay!
All
You know,
right.
2021 style.
Yes. Oh, God. 2021. Oh, how you've manifested in so many weird ways.
Oh, yes. So last time we...
Talked about urban legends.
Oh, yes. We talked about urban legends and then we spinned the wheel.
Yes. And we're going to talk about our cultural backgrounds.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
We need like sound effects that we could just like click buttons here.
Our cultural backgrounds.
Yes.
So, Susie.
Okay. I was born and raised. Well, I guess like I don't even know how to say it. If I was like really, I was born in Jersey and then I left when I was 12. I guess like my childhood was spent in Jersey, and then my teen years was spent in Barstow, which is not a fun place to be.
California.
I like California, just don't recommend Barstow.
Yes.
But like people who are in Barstow, I still love you. Come on, guys, it's cactus and tumbleweed.
I actually have a movie reference where Barstow shows up, and I was very surprised. Is The Fast and the Furious.
Yes.
The first episode. The first one. Not the first episode. The first movie.
The first movie, yeah.
That one guy who's like on house arrest, and he's just driving cars. He's in Barstow.
And I remember it wasn't The Fast and the Furious. I remember there was like another movie that was, the location was being filmed on Barstow.
Oh.
I don't remember the movie, but every person that I knew in high school was really excited about this.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah. Well, I've been thinking about this since we knew we were going to be talking about our cultural backgrounds. And I wanted to, the intention, right, of sharing this sort of, giving space for this multicultural upbringings.
Yeah.
So talking to all our multicultural peoples out there.
Well, I mean, I think there's something to say. Well, my experience, and I think we have similar cultures in being that you're from Venezuela.
Yes.
And then has a Colombian upbringing. But I think we also have some difference. Like, you came into the country and I was raised being, technically American and Colombian, but let's be honest, people didn't think I was either one.
Right.
That was my experience. So I think there's something to say whether it's you're an immigrant coming coming into the country and getting the American culture and then trying to bring your culture along and trying to figure out your identity,
Right.
or if you're first generation of immigrants trying to
Right.
figure out your identity. And I think that's like also a huge conversation here. It's like figuring out your identity when you have to navigate multiple cultures.
Exactly. That's why I'm so happy to be talking about this
Yeah.
today. So, yes, I am from Venezuela. Hola, mi gente.
I feel there's like this song that keeps saying all the different countries.
Yes,
I
yes.
I wish we had that song.
Oh, what is it called? Maybe we can find it. Yes, that's a good.
That is
Oh.
like what we need.
Um,
Puerto Rico. I just remember the guy's voice. It's so deep.
it's like Daddy Yankee or someone.
Yeah.
So I'm a zero generation because I was literally born in Venezuela and I immigrated to the U.S. when I was 10. Actually, right before 9/11, 2001.
Dang, I didn't know that it was right before it.
Yeah, that same year. So I land like July, I think, and then that happened in September.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That must have been intense. Like, not only leave your country, but then a few months later, the towers like get hit. That must be like, not only do you have to have a culture shock, but now you have to have a life shock after that.
Yeah. I was very confused. That's probably when I had my first ego death because it was like I didn't even know other countries existed, and all of a sudden I was in another country, and all of a sudden this other country was having an attack, and I'm like, what just happened to my reality?
It must have been like, because I can't imagine. That's like, you know how they said that sometimes like you can handle like one dramatic change, but once it gets to 2 or 3, it's too much.
Yeah.
And then you have to, like, your mind kind of tries to preserve itself after that. Did it feel like kind of something like that coming on?
Very much so. Very much so. And, you know, my parents, of course, did the best they could. And, I mean, I am now sitting here recording this in Santa Barbara, California. So I think they did pretty well.
Yes.
And also, I was a child, so I didn't really know what was happening in the country with the political system. So I'm one of those children, right, that it was my parents' decision. It was a good decision because Venezuela has definitely seen better days, and I look forward to the day I can, visit Venezuela and come bring some of my stuff there. But of course, how do you explain that to a 10-year-old, right? So I wasn't really fully like notified that I was immigrating to a whole new country. So then that happened. And then I spent 1 year in Florida, in Orlando, Florida. And then I moved to Atlanta, Georgia for a couple of years, pretty much middle school. Fun fact, well, I guess I didn't, the high school I would have gone to in Georgia, in Atlanta, was the same high school Usher went to.
Oh. I just think of all the Usher songs right now.
A-Town in the house. And then I moved back to Florida, and that's where I went to high school and college. And then work brought me out here to California, where I am currently. So, and there's a couple ways children deal with it, right? So either you do it was definitely a culture shock because
I think like the culture shock is like the existential crisis of like not knowing anything. And then after that it's like, okay, now I have to actually deal with this. It's like, now that I had my existential crisis, like now how am I going to what's my behavior to this?
I love this. Existential crisis of cultures. Yeah, like it's like, who are you? Who are you not? Who are your parents?
Yeah. I definitely had to deal with that because it's like with my mom. I had an interesting conversation with her, like the type of racism she had to deal with versus the type of racism I had to deal with. And that was definitely a conversation of who are your parents and who are you and how different people interact. People were intensely racist with my mom. I saw it. I experienced it. But it was definitely different. Like with her, like they never questioned her identity, but they definitely wanted to demean her because of her identity. Versus with me, not only did they want to like demean me for being a person of color, but they also wanted to take away my identity and not let me figure out who I was. And so that was interesting because like I had that conversation with my mom and she told me, I'm like, I never knew that's the experiences you had to go through. And I'm like, I feel like with the color of my skin, because it's light, sometimes I get away with not being treated so harshly as someone with darker skin than me. But when I do get racism, a lot of people want to deal with like, you're not American, you're not Colombian, you're nothing kind of situation. And so it was really interesting navigating that and having conversations of racism with my mom because it was clearly she knew who she was and people knew who she was and they just hated it. And that's messed up. With me, it's like, we don't want you to ever know who you are. We'd rather you think you're nothing.
Oh. Kind
of situation. I was like, either way, it's still messed up, but it was interesting It was different. Very different. And it was definitely kind of the same situation. It was like, who your parents are and who are you? And obviously people treat you way different than your mom. And so, yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds tough. I also definitely experienced different racism than my mother. I was also in denial, like, about racism for a long time.
I was too. Because, like, you don't want to, like, I feel, and not excusing it, you shouldn't be in denial of it, but I think for me, where it came from, it's kind of that cognitive dissonance of like facing the fact that there are some people who you thought you were your friends. Turns out they never really cared about you and they had a lot more messed up beliefs about you kind of on my end. And that's why my denial kind of happened.
Yeah. For me, I guess since I felt like the skin, of course, the different skin tones didn't really mean much to me, right? And I was sort of accepted in multiple different groups, but I also would get specific racist comments. Like one time someone was like, wow, you speak really good English for being Venezuelan, Latino. And I was like, yeah.
I think I've always got frustrated with that type.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what? Okay, I don't know. I never knew how to react to that. I still don't.
I hear you. And my mom, she has lighter eye color than I do and lighter skin tone. So I was always like, people don't even know that you're Spanish. You know, I was like, there's no way you're experiencing racism. But that was because I was also in denial myself. And then I grew up and then started seeing it more. And yeah, my mom lives in the South in Georgia. And racism is a little different there than here. I was actually really surprised. I know there's still racism in California, but I was very surprised to move to California and actually find people that were not racist.
Yeah. It's always a surprise to find people who are not racist. It's always nice to find people who are not racist. And yes, there are people who are out there who are not racist.
Yeah.
But I do have to say that we do live in a racist society. So even if we do work on being anti-racist, we're still going to have a blind spot and we always have to work on it. It's going to be a lifetime work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because it's definitely not one day you wake up, it's like, oh my God, I have to be anti-racist. It's something you have to work at.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually got that book, How to Be Anti-Racist.
I have that one too.
Yeah.
I want to re-listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything specific you want to share about Colombia?
Well, there's so much because like my mom's from Colombia she passed away, was from Colombia. She was born in Popayan. I think she's epic person.
Cheers.
She was an activist there. She had to leave her own country because she was fighting for people's rights there, and it kind of led to the country itself wanting her to leave, and so they put her in a position where she had to leave and essentially come to the U.S. as a refugee. And that was I didn't even know this story growing up. I just thought, like, my mom somehow manifested. When you're a kid, you don't think the whole adventure that your parents did. You kind of just like, my mom just came here. She just like bubbled up from the ground and came to the U.S. and ta-da, there she was.
Yeah, so you didn't really know why she had ever immigrated to the US.
Like I didn't know until I was like starting getting into more activism and cultural studies, where my mom started kind of opening that side of her. I think she was very much protecting me from her story, because her story was not an easy story. Like, she went through some things many human beings would either not survive or definitely not be sane after. She told me once that like the reason she was surprised I was even born was at one point she was caught through her adventures of activism and tortured in a way where she was left infertile. So she was left thinking she could never have a kid afterwards. And so when she ended up pregnant with me, she's like, this is a miracle. I thought I could never have a child. And, because the things they did to her, she thought she could never conceive a kid after.
That's so intense.
Yeah. Yeah, when I found that, I was like, wow. And like, now I understand why she celebrates my birthday so intensely every year.
We should take a water break to that.
Definitely.
Water break. Water break.
Woo.
Water break. That's intense.
That is intense. It was intense because, like, when I didn't know the story that she gave, before knowing the story, I just, I always knew my mom was really sick when I was young, and she had her health issues. But I always thought her intensity is like, oh, she had a hard pregnancy. I know the doctor said that I probably wouldn't have survived the pregnancy. And so I'm like, I thought her huge excitement here and intensity is like, oh my God, we fought together and you survived and you were born. And look at you, Mija, you're 25 now. I'm 28 now, but at the time she was telling me her excitement was when I was 25. And so I'm like, oh, she really loves me. Thank you, Mom. Yes, I survived, and I survived till I was 25, till I'm 25 and a lot more years ago. And I never understood that intensity. And then when she gave me the story, I'm like, oh, like, I understand for you. Like, me being born was like, yeah, it was like, not only did I survive this, I still have my baby, and she survived this intense pregnancy that the doctors were telling me she wasn't going to survive, but she survived anyway. So I fought, and she fought every step of the way to being born. And I was like, oh, like, I now understand that intensity that my mom was coming from. But like before then, I'm like, I guess my mom really loves me, and I think all moms really love their kids. Well, there's some other stories that, contradict that. But like, you know, when a mom loves their kid, they tend to be very intense about it. And I'm like, I guess she's just one of those really intense moms, intense about her love. And then, nope, she had a valid reason to be very like, whoa. And I'm like, okay, I'm like, if I was in her position, I now understand why, like, celebrating your kid's birthday after so much trials and tribulations for her to just exist. I would also be like, yeah.
That's a huge accomplishment. That's a huge.
Yeah. But I'm
it's
like,
a miracle. I mean, it's the mathematical odds, I think, are, you know.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I never usually think about it, like, about how much my mom fought from then to, like, having me, like, to even fight during the 9 months for me to just be born. I never really thought about it, but, like, recently I'm like, maybe I should think about it. Maybe there is some influence in having to go through that intensity to just exist.
Absolutely. Actually, you bring up a huge point, and I'm very curious about this topic, and is that those 9 months that a child is in embryo, right, inside the womb, are actually very crucial for the development of that child as well.
Yeah.
Like you're actually recording, like it's not like a blank slate, like how it used to be seen.
I can definitely see that because, like, a good example of this is, like, during the 9 months, my mom used to play Ode for Joy constantly, and till now, I just adore that piece of music.
That's so awesome.
And she always when she was alive, she always reminded us, I always played that to you when you were in my belly. And I'm like, I can see how it just, like, carried through till now, because it's, like, something I listen to for comfort.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Well, we're happy you're here.
I'm happy I'm here too. I'm happy my mom is such a badass.
Yes. And what an honor to have this, be part of our podcast of our Everything Bagel.
Them schmears.
Well, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah. I think this is, like, the first time I, like, say that really live about my mom's story. Because, I knew about the story, but we never, I never talk about it. I never even talk about, like, the circumstances of the pregnancy at all. And it was actually until you started mentioning how important of the circumstances of birth. It's like, maybe I need to revisit that. Maybe there's something to say about my personality of being always so stubborn and hard-headed. But, like, if you're fighting to exist, being stubborn and hard-headed is a very good quality.
Absolutely. Exactly. That's so, absolutely. Oh, I'm so happy that, that sparked that in you. And I hope that sparks some, that in some of our listeners too. And I know that I'll probably think about it, right, in the future. And I hope to share this with moms, right, some mothers that might be listening to this. Because that child, that human that's growing inside the womb, it's literally creating its skin at that moment. So whatever that environment is feeling, is thinking, right, being the mom, the host. It's important. And actually, I can talk about this.
I think it's a great topic. I think it's a topic we definitely need to revisit because I think you very much touched upon it. I know my initial reaction was kind of like, I don't want to think about it. It's like, well, I mean,
it's deep.
It's deep. It's like, especially when you have a story like that attached to it, it's like, this is a lot because, like, if we actually think about it, it's not just the 9 months we have to, like, deconstruct, but now you have to, like, deconstruct that she thought she was infertile and couldn't even have a kid. And that's a lot.
And you were already in that body.
Yeah.
Actually, this is a fun thing to touch upon. Did you know, hey listeners, did you know that and please do correct me if I say any funny terms, that a female human body is in embryo creates all of the eggs that body will have for the rest of its life.
Yep.
So in theory, as eggs, right, all of us, because male are also part of this equation, we were in our mother's bodies as they were living their life, even before the conception happened of our existence.
I find that interesting.
So interesting. It's so interesting. Versus male produce their sperm on a daily basis, actually.
That's why they don't have to go through menopause.
I don't have enough data for this. I do not.
Is there such thing? Well, I doubt there's like a male version of menopause. Is there? Like, I now need to Google this. Other than like, you know,
I'm not sure.
their little friend stops working at a certain age.
Is this PG-13?
I said little friend. I was very clear at saying little friend.
So yeah, I mean, I love that connection between the generations as far as the connection.
Yes.
As I mean, I don't know if you're gonna search that.
I was going to.
I was gonna talk some about Venezuela now. So first off, if you are not sure, Colombia, which is where Susan is from, and Venezuela, which is where I'm from, they're actually like sister countries in South America.
They were once Gran Colombia.
Yes. So once upon a time, they were part of the same.
Yeah, and then everyone split apart and decided to do their own thing
During colonization times.
Yeah.
Now Venezuela is actually referred to as the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. And I'm actually I know that I'm going to sound like I actually don't know a lot about this, but this is actually part of my experience as being a transplant. Because, you know, as I mentioned, like I studied in Venezuela until 4th grade. So I had learned, I was going to mention about, oh no, I lost
your screen.
Wikipedia. My first love is Venezuela. And it was some class that I was taking in elementary school, and they were showing us this beautiful tree. Oh, I wonder if that tree is listed in this Wikipedia page. And it's this beautiful tree that has like beautiful yellow leaves. And I had like a school project to like draw out this tree. And I loved it. And then, so when I first realized that I had immigrated to a new country and that I was potentially never going back, I was like heartbroken. It was the beginning of me. Yeah, one can say I was a little jaded at that point. So yeah, I'm actually not super well versed in my heritage from Venezuela, or not heritage, just like history, my technicalities of Venezuela. So yeah, it was renamed to Republic Bolivarian.
I believe in you.
I don't know how to say it actually.
Can I see it? Maybe
I lost it. La Bolivariana República de Venezuela. Bolivariana. That's how you say it in Spanish, I think. Bolivariana. Bolivarian. I just don't know how you say it in English. La Republicana Bolivariana de Venezuela.
It's quite a mouthful, I have to be honest.
The population is 28 million, which seems like a very small number, because doesn't California have more than that amount of people? I had just recently started realizing California is gigantic. Let's see. What else can I say?
Okay, so I just like a little bit of breaking news. Guys go through andropause, which is when their testosterone starts to drop. So,
Can you repeat the name?
andropause.
Andro?
Pause. It's when their testosterone levels start to fall.
Fascinating.
Yes.
Does it happen around what age?
That I don't know. I'm guessing just like women, it happens in different stages for each individual. Because I know some women have menopause pretty early and some
Right.
pretty late.
Right. Wow. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here. That's what it looks like. Bolivarian.
I believe it is. Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela.
Bolivarian?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the updated name of my country. My OG country.
The original.
Colonized by Spain in 1522.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, so it has a huge Spain influence.
Yeah.
Yeah, 28 million. What's the population of California?
Ooh, I can look it up. California. 39 million. About 39 million.
Yeah, the entire country of Venezuela has 28 million.
Wow.
Almost
Dang,
29.
California.
California is gigantic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's an anthem. Do you wanna-
El himno
Yes.
de
let's see.
Venezuela. Oh, well, I'm wondering if
no.
it's similar to like Colombia's.
Yeah. Our flags look very similar, yellow, blue, and red.
Yes.
Venezuela has stars
Yeah.
in like a little rainbow shaped,
Yeah.
and Colombia's yellow
And we have no stars. It's like,
portion is larger.
yeah, it's larger, and we have nothing on our flag.
No
It's
stars.
just no stars.
Nice.
My mom explained to me what they meant.
The stars.
Like not the stars, but the colors.
Oh, I don't
Like
actually
from
know
and I
that.
could be wrong. So if there's any Colombians out there with more knowledge than I, which if you're from the motherland, you probably have more data than I do. From what I recall, it's like the yellow represents the gold that we have, the red, the blood of the fallen who fought for our independence, and then the blue for the oceans that we have.
Yum.
Yeah.
I don't know about that in Venezuela, but that makes sense. That resonates. Oh, maybe.
And I also remember our national flower is an orchid, the coffee orchid specifically.
That's the coffee orchid.
The orchids are a huge
That's
thing
the
for us.
Venezuela one too, I think.
Yeah.
Orchid.
Orchid?
Yeah.
Oh, yay. Because, like, we're so attached to our orchids.
Yeah.
And I know that we're so attached because I was pretty attached. I was pretty attached to blue orchids. In our national dance, from my understanding, but we also love dancing, so we probably had a very hard time picking, is cumbia, is our national dance. Yes, I do know there's very much many variations of cumbia, and I am so proud of all the variations. I'm very happy that you embraced it in all different countries and did your own version of activism like you should with cumbia. I think the legacy of cumbia being something used as activism in every country is just awesome. Because
it's used as activism?
yes, like I did a research on where it started, which it started near La Magdalena in Colombia. And it was originally used as a way to protest against the people of power, against they didn't want the indigenous people and the African slaves at the time to come together. So they protested by dancing together in the neighborhoods, kind of like a fu to the
I love that. I did not know that.
And then if you go back, that use of activism, it went into Peru, even in Mexico, in all the different countries that have their variations of cumbia. You can see it all started originally with activism. And so for me, what I love about it and what I got from this research is like, you know what? Even if it's different from how it originally started, the cumbia, the meat of it was still there. And it was, the purpose of it was to rebel against an injustice. And I find that beautiful.
I love that. I absolutely love that. That makes me think of like flash dancing and, you know, all this. Is that what it's called?
The flash mobs?
Yeah, flash mobs.
I love flash mobs.
Flash dancing, flash mobs.
I think flash dancing is when you like start
That's something else. I wanted to mention something about Venezuela, that it has the world's highest uninterrupted waterfall. It's called the Angel Falls.
Don't you guys have also like a place where there's like epic amounts of like lightning that don't stop?
Yes. Maracaibo. Yeah, it's a specific lake that gets the most amount of lightning in the planet, or one of the top places in the planet. Wikipedia doesn't clearly list it here, but yeah.
Yeah, because like that was one of the. I always thought that was pretty epic about Venezuela, that place. Trippy. Mm-hmm. Like it's always having lightning all the time, from my understanding.
Yeah. That's so cool. Awesome. So we're coming here to an end.
Yes.
We were brainstorming whether we should spin the wheel and pick a new topic and do 3 more topics, or if we should revisit our last 3 topics.
I say let's pick the topics.
I think so too.
And then next season, we can revisit the topics we've picked.
I think so too. Yay! All right. Thank you so much for being here for our season 1. Yes. Our season 1 will have 7 episodes. 7 episodes?
7 episodes.
Yes.
From what I understand.
Yes. At our Everything Bagel, which now you can find on Instagram, on Facebook. I think it's on Twitter.
That tweet.
And we have a new email, oureverythingbagel@gmail.com.
Yeah.
So before we had mentioned the Everything Bagel.
But turns out there's like 7 people with or more with that name. So like we thought maybe we should change it.
Shout out to all the Everything Bagels out there.
We hope you guys are doing your best to be the best bagel that you are.
Here is our Everything Bagel.
This is our Everything Bagel. We are not the same.
Yeah. Cool. So let's spin the wheel, see what we pick for next time for our 5th episode.
All right. And let's do this.
We'll write it down.
Yay. So our next topic is bucket lists and pipe dreams.
Ooh.
That sounds pretty fun.
Awesome. Well, see you next time.
Yes.
Follow us.
Subscribe.
Send us an email. Say hi.
Say hello. We love to hear from you and your beautiful face. Well, we can't really see your faces, so your beautiful words. So we want to hear them.
We love words.
They're amazing.
Oh, and do drink some water.
Yes. Do not listen to me. Don't do as I do.
As hopefully the next episode you bring some water.
Yes.
Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for listening.
Bye.